Hello everyone, today in this video we are going to talk about the French Revolution in brief. French Revolution was started when the people of France were suffering from the monarchy government which took place for 10 years. This made a huge impact in the history of France. There were many causes which led to the outbreak of revolution which we will be discussing soon. So without any further delay, let us start and know about France in our today's video assigned by our history teacher Mr. Swarnim. First of all, let us discuss about the French society in the late 18th century. In 1774, King Louis XVI of the Bourbon family ascended the throne at the age of 20 and married to an Austrian princess Marie Antoinette. During his rule, he found that the treasury was decreasing day by day, and years passed by of wars and financial health of France was decreasing. They also gave independence to the 13 colonies of America. On the other hand, France had already added more than 3 billion livre debt, and the lenders began to demand 10% interest on the loans. Seeing these conditions, the king decided to increase the tax on the people. During the 18th century, France was divided into three states. First, clergy, people who worked in the church. Second was nobility, king and his family. Third state was the common people, the merchants, businessmen, laborers, peasants, etc. From the total population, 90% of population of France were the farmers, and 60% of the land was owned by the first and second state people. Only a few people of the third state could pay the taxes who were very rich. The tax which was paid by the farmers to the church was called the tithe. The king also increased the taxes on the daily basis food items like salt and tobacco, which gave problem to the third state people. Now as the population of France was increasing, the demand of the people also grew, but the supply was limited. People were dying due to hunger, and then started the revolt by the people of the third state. But this turned out to be not so effective as the people did not have money, they were not very educated. But as the time passed, people got educated, their income increased, and they got new ideas. Some of the philosophers like John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau also supported the people of the third state. They believed that everyone in the society should have equal rights and equal laws for all. John Locke also protested about the monarchy government in his book The Two Treatises of Government. And because of these conditions, then started the outbreak of revolution. After this, the East States General's meeting was called to keep the proposal of the new taxes so that it could be approved. East State General was a political body in which all the states sent their representatives, but only the king would decide what is correct. The last meeting was called on 1614, but after that Louis XVI called a meeting on 5 May 1789. In this meeting, the first and second state people had 300 representatives, but the third state had 600, in which the farmers and artisans were not allowed to enter. So they sent their complaints and demands in 4,000 letters to the assembly. Till now, each state had one vote, but the third state people demanded for equal right for each person, means one vote for one person. But the king did not accept this offer. So the third state people walked out in protest and gathered in the indoor tennis court of Versailles and made a national assembly on 20th June. They discussed and decided to make a constitution in which the king's power would be less. The National Assembly had two prominent leaders, Mirabeau and Abbesius. On the other hand, France was experiencing extremely cold weather, due to which most of the crops were dying and the people were not getting food. So in protest, they attacked the Bastille prison on 14th July in search of arms. And the poor peasants attacked the barricades and burnt all the official documents. By seeing these conditions, the King of France accepted the National Assembly. and the National Assembly passed an order on the night of 4th August 1789 in which the first and second state people had to return the land that they had taken in the name of church, and the tax which was taken by the farmers tithe was also stopped. Due to this, the government also got benefit, and gradually new constitution was made in 1791. According to this constitution, the government was divided into three parts: legislative, executive, and judiciary. Legislative was the one who made the rules. Executive was the one who sees that the rules are followed or not. And judiciary was the one who punishes the people who did not follow the rules. Now, as the time passed, the population of France grew to 28 million, in which 4 million people were the males who were called the active citizens who were allowed to vote, and they were above 25 years of age. And the 3 million people were called the passive citizens who were children and females who were not allowed to vote, and they were below 25 years of age. Now, active citizens were the one who elected for the judge and 50,000 electors, in which the 50,000 electors would elect for the 745 members of the National Assembly. Now, the National Assembly was the one who chose the king, who had the veto power, and also chose the ministers. According to the new constitution of France, the people had right to life, freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, and equality before law, which was not given to the people during the monarchy rule. On the other hand, King Louis XVI went to a secret negotiation with Prussia and Austria to regain his powers. But the National Assembly declared a war against Prussia and Austria in 1789. During this war, the wealthier section of the society were given more importance. On the other hand, people started to form political clubs, in which the people of different views told their different opinions so that the government could pay attention to their points. One such club was Jacobin Club, whose leader was Maximilien Robespierre, and the Jacobin Club people were known as the Sans-Cloutons. And on 21st September 1792, France was declared as a republic country. The monarchy system was ended and the people got their rights. On 21st January 1793, King Louis XVI was guillotined, and Maximilien Robespierre started his rule. Maximilien Robespierre's way of ruling the country was different. He used harsh techniques to the people and kept them in prison. Whoever were terrorists for him, they were sent to guillotine. And during his rule, the National Assembly did a great task, that was the abolition of slavery. Now, as Maximilien Robespierre used harsh implements to punish people, the people started protesting. Finally, on 1794, Maximilien Robespierre was also sent to guillotine. During the days of wars, the women were also suffering as well as the men. They were given the task to look after the house, for which they did all the possible outcomes. Some prominent revolutionary women were Olympe de Gouges, Madame du Barry, and Grace Elliot. Now, as the monarchy system had ended, the people were free to do anything. They were free to print, they were free to speak anything in public, take out rally, perform dance, etc. As there was no political club to rule, the richer section of the society took advantage, but they also could not last long. So, taking the advantage, in 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte came into power. He ruled France for approx 10 years and was finally defeated at the War of Waterloo.